So now it is time for us to begin to establish our values. So at this point, you should have a cited, correct line drawing of your object, in this case, our drapery. I did not show you guys each and every instance of me citing the different angles of this piece because, of course, for time's sake and for economy's sake. So remember, make sure that you take the time to cite and correct to make sure that all these angles are correct. So moving on, we are going to be sketching out our major shadows, our main patches of shadow. So remember to squint at your object and identify the light source. We can see here with this particular object, the light is coming from the left side somewhere in space. So then we can see where those big patches of shadows are. And those are going to be the first things that you note. Again, it's very tempting to start with details because details are satisfying. But remember, we are building our drawing from the ground up. And you need to make sure that you have some really nice, solid foundation before we go in and get all the little details in. So you can see that I'm using my charcoal pencil and I am sketching and filling in those big patches of shadow very lightly. Again, this is not going to look pretty. It's not going to look exciting, but remember, we need to break the ice before we get in there and do all of our details. And of course, charcoal, all about layering. So it's always better to start off light and work your way darker. It's a lot harder to erase and work your way back towards those light values. So speaking of values, as you can see from our image, the darkest point in our image is the background, right? So when we look at the actual object itself, this particular piece of drapery, we can see that there's a lot of middle tones and there's a lot of light tones and even some highlights in there. So kind of keep that logic going as you're working. Try not to get too dark because again, as we can see, although there are areas of shadow, there's no shadows that are going to be that deep, solid black. We're going to save that for our background. So again, build yourself up, think about that value scale and think about where on the spectrum you're noticing a lot of these values at. If you need to stop and do a value scale to kind of train yourself to seeing value as a spectrum, you can definitely do that. But for right now, I'm continuing to apply these big patches of shadow, right? Moving forward, moving around the object, because at the end of this step, we want all of our big general shadows to be established. Again, that's not details. You don't have to get everything done in these couple minutes, but you should get the very least those main patches of shadow. And if you're not sure where to find them, again, squint your eyes at the object and you will see those big general areas that you should start to lay in first. Again, try to work your economy in. Think about how fast you can shade in and fill in areas. Again, use the pencil that works best for you. I'm starting off with a nice medium pencil and control the pressure to achieve these nice light patches as we go along. Again, this doesn't look too spectacular. It does look patchy because again, we are observing patches of shadow. And again, this is just our foundation and we'll be refining these shadows and expanding our values in the next step.